Your value is not determined by others. It's decided by you. Too many people are walking around living beneath their potential because they've allowed someone else's opinion to define who they are. You've let rejection write your story and fear dictate your worth. You've listened to voices that told you you're not enough, not qualified, not capable, and you believed them. But the truth is those voices were never the authority over your life. Every time you internalize what others say about you, you give away your power. The moment you begin to reclaim that power is the moment you start redefining yourself. You were created with purpose, designed with intention, and gifted with something the world cannot duplicate. The world didn't give you your identity, so the world has no right to take it away. When you start realizing that your value doesn't depend on status, appearance, or approval, you begin to operate differently. You walk differently, you think differently, you speak differently, because now you're no longer performing for applause, you're living from conviction. And conviction is far stronger than validation. People will project their insecurities onto you. They'll tell you that you're dreaming too big, moving too fast, or expecting too much. But their limitations have nothing to do with your potential. When you live based on others' opinions, you shrink yourself to fit into their comfort zones. You play small so you won't make them uncomfortable. Yet your assignment was never to fit in, it was to stand out. You cannot fulfill your purpose while trying to please everyone. The price of approval is too high when it costs you your destiny. The moment you understand that your worth is internal, not external, you'll stop trying to prove yourself and start improving yourself. You'll stop seeking validation and start seeking growth. You'll realize that your value is not in how many people like you, but in how deeply you impact the world around you. Every gift inside you was placed there with divine precision. You were equipped to change lives, not to beg for recognition. You have to remember that diamonds don't lose their value just because someone doesn't recognize their worth. The problem isn't the diamond, it's the person who doesn't understand its rarity. The same goes for you. Stop trying to convince people who can't see your brilliance. Not everyone is meant to understand your process or appreciate your journey. Your value doesn't decrease because someone else is blind to it. When you walk into a room knowing who you are, everything shifts. Confidence is not arrogance, it's awareness. It's the understanding that you have something to offer that can make a difference. When you carry yourself like you know your worth, you don't need to demand respect. It naturally comes to you. The energy you project becomes magnetic because people are drawn to authenticity and certainty. You must stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Comparison kills confidence. It makes you forget how far you've come. It distracts you from the blessings in your own life by making you focus on someone else's progress. The truth is, you can't measure your value through someone else's lens. Their journey is theirs, yours is uniquely yours. The only person you should compete with is the version of yourself from yesterday. The world often teaches you to chase validation, likes, followers, titles, and applause, but none of those things define who you truly are. They're temporary illusions that fade the moment the crowd turns away. Real value is built on character, consistency, and purpose. It's about who you are when no one's watching. It's about how you handle adversity, how you treat others, and how you honor the gifts you've been given. When you understand your worth, you start setting higher standards for what you allow into your life. You no longer tolerate disrespect, mediocrity, or environments that drain your energy. You become more selective with your time, and more intentional with your words. You stop chasing and start attracting because your energy is rooted in self-respect. And when you respect yourself, you naturally teach others how to treat you. The decision to value yourself changes everything. It changes how you think, how you act, how you show up. You stop begging for opportunities and start creating them. You stop asking for permission to shine and start realizing that your light was never meant to be dimmed. Your value doesn't fluctuate based on circumstances. It remains constant because it was given to you from the beginning. When you finally decide to believe that truth, your entire world begins to align with it. Life pays you what you believe you're worth. The world mirrors your inner beliefs, and every result you see around you is a reflection of the value you've placed on yourself. When you undervalue your potential, you unconsciously accept less than you deserve. You tolerate relationships that drain you, jobs that underpay you, and opportunities that don't challenge you to grow. But the moment you shift your belief about your worth, everything around you begins to respond differently. You start attracting situations that align with your new level of thinking, and life begins to pay you at the rate you believe you're worth. You cannot receive abundance while holding onto a scarcity mindset. If you think small, you live small. The universe doesn't withhold blessings. It simply matches your level of belief. When you think you're unworthy of success, you repel it. When you think you're not ready for greatness, you delay it. But when you walk with the confidence of someone who knows they were created for more, you open the doors that have been waiting for your belief to catch up. Everything you desire is already available, but your mindset is the key that unlocks it. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they undervalue themselves. They settle for average because they've convinced themselves they're not capable of more. They trade purpose for comfort, and in doing so, they accept a life that doesn't fulfill them. When you believe you deserve more, you start demanding more from yourself. You stop making excuses and start making progress. The problem isn't that life isn't fair, it's that belief isn't firm. You can only rise to the level of your belief, never above it. Your self-worth determines the kind of energy you put into the world. If you see yourself as limited, you'll take limited actions. If you see yourself as powerful, you'll make powerful decisions. Your income, your relationships, your confidence, all of it is tied to how you see yourself. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So if you want more out of life, you have to become more within yourself. Belief is not something you say, it's something you live. Every decision you make is evidence of what you truly believe about your worth. When you look at successful people, you'll notice one common trait: they expect to win. They move through life with an unshakable sense of worthiness. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. They understand that their results are directly connected to their mindset. They don't ask for permission to succeed, they assume it's already done. That's the power of belief. When you believe in your value, you stop waiting for the world to validate it. You stop asking for opportunities. You start creating them. You stop competing. You start commanding. Every thought you entertain is like a seed, and the harvest you reap is determined by what you've planted in your mind. If your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, your life will reflect that. But when your inner language shifts to abundance, faith, and power, your reality adjusts to match it. You have to start speaking like you believe you deserve more. You have to walk like you already have what you're praying for. Life doesn't respond to wishful thinking, it responds to bold belief. The challenge is that many people have been conditioned to think small. They've been told not to dream too big, not to expect too much, and not to step too high. But that conditioning creates invisible chains that keep them stuck in mediocrity. You have to unlearn the habit of settling. You have to break the pattern of believing that success is for everyone else but you. When you start to see yourself as someone deserving of excellence, you'll start demanding excellence from your life. And once you raise your belief, everything around you has to rise with it. Your worth is not measured by your current circumstances, but by your potential to create change. Just because you're in a tough season doesn't mean you're unworthy of better. The value of gold doesn't decrease because it's buried underground. It remains valuable until someone digs it out. You are that gold. You've just got to start believing in the value that's already within you. Life can only reveal what you believe you're ready to receive. So if you want more, increase your capacity to believe more. When you start seeing yourself differently, people start treating you differently. The world is always taking cues from how you carry yourself. If you walk like you're unsure, life will hesitate to bless you. But if you move like you belong, like you've already been chosen, like you've already won, everything aligns to meet that expectation. Belief creates momentum, and momentum creates results. You can't live a high-value life with low-value beliefs because the two cannot coexist. Everything begins with belief. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions shape your outcomes. If you want a better life, you must first create a better internal reality. When you believe you're worthy of greatness, you act like it. You invest in yourself. You speak differently. You take bolder steps. And soon enough, life begins to reward you in ways that reflect the value you've placed on yourself. Stop giving discounts on your time, energy, and purpose. You were not created to live a discounted life, yet too often you lower your value just to be accepted, liked, or included. You give away your time to people who don't appreciate it, your energy to situations that don't deserve it, and your attention to distractions that steal your focus. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your purpose, you're saying no to something that could elevate your destiny. Your time is the currency of your life, and when you start giving it away freely to things that don't serve you, you're silently communicating that your purpose doesn't matter as much as it truly does. You have to protect your energy like it's sacred because it is. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every opportunity deserves your effort. And not every opinion deserves your attention. You are not obligated to explain your growth to people who benefit from your stagnation. When you stop allowing everyone to drain your energy, you create space for clarity and creativity to flourish. You were never meant to pour endlessly into others while leaving yourself empty. The world doesn't need a version of you that's tired, drained, and unfulfilled. It needs a version of you that's alive, purposeful, and operating at full capacity. Every time you undervalue your purpose, you teach others how to treat you. If you keep showing up like your time doesn't matter, people will continue to waste it. If you act like your dreams are optional, people will treat them like background noise. You set the tone for how others engage with you. When you raise your standard, you teach people that your energy is expensive, your time is valuable, and your purpose is non-negotiable. The moment you stop giving discounts, you stop attracting people who only come for the sale. Your purpose was designed to produce fruit, not exhaustion. You can't fulfill what you were born to do if you're constantly running on empty. So many people chase approval while ignoring alignment. They say yes out of guilt, they help out of fear, and they stay out of obligation. But alignment requires discernment. It means recognizing when something no longer fits the version of you that's growing. When you know your worth, you stop apologizing for walking away from things that no longer serve your peace. You start realizing that protecting your energy is not selfish, it's stewardship. You are not a product that needs to be marked down to attract attention. You are the prize, the vision, the asset. You don't have to beg people to see your value. You don't have to prove your importance by overextending yourself. The people and opportunities that are meant for you will recognize your worth without you lowering yourself to be noticed. When you stand firm in your purpose, you draw in what aligns with your assignment. Your greatness doesn't shine by pleasing everyone. It shines by remaining true to what you were created to do. Discounting yourself always comes with a cost. Every time you settle for less, a piece of your confidence erodes. Every time you say yes when you should have said no, your boundaries weaken. Every time you shrink yourself to make others comfortable, your purpose loses oxygen. You were designed to grow, and growth requires space. When you clutter your life with things that don't serve your mission, you suffocate your potential. It's not pride to protect your purpose, it's wisdom. You cannot become who you were meant to be if you keep investing in what drains you. Your energy is your most valuable resource. It's what fuels your creativity, your focus, your determination, and your faith. If you give it to negativity, gossip, doubt, or fear, you're wasting divine fuel on things that will never take you anywhere. Every dream, every vision, every calling requires energy. And if your energy is constantly being spent on people who take and never give, you'll have nothing left for the assignment that matters most. You have to choose where your power goes, because wherever your attention flows, your future grows. You must also stop giving discounts in how you speak about yourself. Words carry power, and when you diminish yourself through self-criticism, you're reinforcing a belief that you're not enough. Stop saying you're just anything. Stop downplaying your skills, your talents, and your anointing. Speak with the authority of someone who knows they're valuable. The more you affirm your worth, the more the world begins to respond to that vibration. You can't expect life to respect a version of you that you constantly talk down. When you start operating from a place of value, you begin to see that every yes and no you give carries weight. Your yes has the power to build something meaningful, and your no has the power to protect it. You can't grow into your full potential while saying yes to everything. Growth requires focus, and focus requires boundaries. Every boundary you set is a statement of worth. It tells the world, I know who I am, and I refuse to compromise it. This is the truth about purpose. It cannot thrive in an environment of discounts. Your gifts lose power when you surround yourself with people or patterns that devalue them. To rise higher, you must become selective about what you give your energy to. You have to be intentional about your time, deliberate about your words, and protective of your peace. Because once you understand that your purpose is priceless, you'll stop living like it's on sale. When you recognize your worth, you become unstoppable. The moment you realize that everything you've been through was preparing you, not punishing you, something inside you shifts. You stop viewing obstacles as signs to quit and start seeing them as tests designed to strengthen your belief. Recognizing your worth doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. It means you'll face them differently. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this preparing me for? That mindset alone separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. When you finally understand who you are, the opinions of others lose power over you. You become unstoppable when you stop negotiating with fear. Most people let fear dictate how far they'll go, but fear is just an illusion dressed in logic. It whispers reasons why you can't, why it's not the right time, why you should wait until things are perfect. But perfection is a myth that keeps dreamers trapped in hesitation. When you know your worth, you stop asking fear for permission to move. You realize that courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means you've decided that your purpose is more important than your comfort. The moment you take that step, you prove to yourself that you were never limited, just uncertain. There's a certain power that comes with self-awareness. When you finally recognize the strength, wisdom, and resilience that already live inside you, you stop chasing external validation. You stop begging for opportunities because you realize you are the opportunity. You stop asking, will they choose me? And start declaring, I choose myself. That's the shift that turns potential into power. The people who accomplish extraordinary things are not the most talented. They're the most convinced. Conviction is what moves mountains, and it's built on the foundation of knowing your worth. When you operate from a place of worthiness, rejection no longer feels like failure. It becomes redirection. What once broke you now builds you. You begin to understand that not every closed door is meant to stop you. Some are meant to guide you toward the right one. You stop chasing people who can't see your value because you're too focused on becoming the best version of yourself. When you know who you are, you don't settle for less just because it's available. You wait for what aligns with your vision because you understand that timing is part of the process. The truth is, most people never rise because they don't believe they deserve to. They keep waiting for someone else to validate them before they move. But worthiness isn't earned through approval. It's recognized through awareness. You were born with it. The moment you stop apologizing for your greatness, your life begins to reflect it. The world doesn't reward uncertainty. It rewards boldness. The ones who know their worth don't ask for a seat at the table. They build their own. That's the level of confidence that turns ordinary individuals into leaders, dreamers into achievers, and believers into conquerors. When you recognize your worth, your standards change. You stop entertaining conversations that drain you, environments that limit you, and opportunities that don't align with your calling. You no longer tolerate being treated like an option when you know you're a priority. You stop compromising your peace just to maintain temporary connections. Your worth becomes the filter through which you make decisions, and it keeps you from returning to places that once broke you. Knowing your worth is not arrogance. It's self-respect rooted in truth. Every person has moments where they forget how powerful they are. Life's disappointments, failures, and betrayals can blur your sense of identity. But even when you doubt yourself, your worth doesn't disappear. It simply waits for you to remember it. Like a buried treasure, your value doesn't decrease because it's hidden. The moment you rediscover it, everything that once seemed impossible becomes attainable. Self-worth doesn't come from what you achieve. It comes from realizing that you've always had what it takes. Confidence born from self-worth has a different energy. It's quiet, calm, and certain. It doesn't need to boast or prove anything. When you know your worth, you no longer chase validation. You attract respect. You no longer need to explain your vision to people who can't see it. You walk in purpose, and that presence alone commands attention. People can sense when someone moves with certainty, and that's what makes them unstoppable. It's not noise that creates impact, it's clarity. Recognizing your worth also gives you permission to grow beyond your old self.